Welcome to Integrity Linguistics Institute. Now, today we will be discussing the Part A listening of Sara Croft, specifically the extract 1 of the Part A. So let's see what are the instructions telling us. You hear a consultant endocrinologist talking to a patient called Sara Croft. For questions 1 to 12, complete the notes with a word or short phrase. You now have 30 seconds to look at the notes. So on your examination day, you will be getting a pair of headsets and you have to wear that and you will be listening to an audio. So in this particular extract, we are hearing a conversation between an endocrinologist and a patient called Sara Croft. There will be 12 incomplete fill in the blank sentences and you have to fill in those sentences with a word or a short phrase that you hear from the audio. And you will get 30 seconds time to read all these 12 questions. Now, let's see what is the very first question. So let's do the keyword analysis of the first question. So we are discussing about the medical history of the patient. So here the patient has hypertension. Recently worsened, that is, patient's hypertension became very much worse, and to control that hypertension, maybe the patient has been taking 3 years of corticosteroid treatment. So here the patient has one disease called hypertension and the patient has another condition, and to control that condition the patient is taking corticosteroid treatment. And for how long has the patient been taking corticosteroid treatment? For 3 years. So see, these are the keywords: 3 years corticosteroid treatment for what disease condition? That is what we have to find out. So now let's hear the audio and let's see if you can tell me what the answer is.
Well, I've got some notes here with his referral letter, but it'd be helpful if you could tell me in your own words the sort of problems you've been experiencing.
Okay, well, I've had high blood pressure for several years, but these last few months, that's tending to get worse. I've been on corticosteroids too these last 3 years or so, and that's a result of the fact that I've suffered from asthma since my teens.
Okay, so here what is the patient telling? The patient is telling, I have been on corticosteroids too these last 3 years. All right, so the keywords are repeating over here. So that's a result of the fact that I have suffered from asthma since my teens. So since the patient has been a teenager, she has been suffering from asthma. So to control or to manage her asthmatic condition, she has been taking corticosteroids for 3 years. So what is the answer going to be? The answer is going to be asthma. So without any spelling mistakes, you must write asthma in your answer paper as soon as you hear the audio. Okay, without wasting any time. So that explains the answer to the very first question. Alright, so now let's go to the second question. So let's do the keyword analysis of the second question. Gradual weight gain, especially in the stomach area. So the patient has been gaining weight slowly, gradually, especially in the tummy area of the patient. And this is the question: dash on face, embarrassing. So the patient has something on her face, and because of that she is very shy. Okay, she's not really proud of it, so she's really embarrassed of that particular thing which is present on her face. All right, so now let's see what the audio is telling us.
My teens.
I see. But I understand you've developed several other problems recently.
Yeah, as you can see, my stomach is huge. I've put on a lot of weight and it seems to be concentrated there. And I don't know what's happened to my face. All this hair which has appeared, it's so embarrassing. And something else which I didn't notice at first, but which other people have pointed out to me, here, see, in between my shoulders, is this, well, I can only describe it as a hump. That really bothers me too.
Yeah.
All right, so we got the answer by the time we reached this particular section. All right, so what was the question? Dash on face, embarrassing. So something is really present on the patient's face, and because of that she is not very proud of it, like she is quite shy. All right, so let's see what the patient was saying. So here the patient was saying, I don't know what's happened to my face. All right, so see, face, keywords are repeating over here. All this hair which has appeared, it's so embarrassing. So what has appeared on her face? Hair has appeared. So you must write hair, H-A-I-R. So that is the correct answer. So hair on face, and because of that she is very embarrassed. All right, so without any spelling mistakes you must write hair. And the OET people do accept hair growth as well, but it is always safe to write the words exactly how you hear from the audio. So that answers the second question. Now let's take a look at the third question. Visible dash between the shoulders. Okay, so something is visible, that means we can clearly see something is present between the shoulders of the patient. All right, so now let's see what is present between her shoulders.
See, but I understand you've developed several other problems recently.
Yeah, as you can see, my stomach is huge. I've put on a lot of weight and it seems to be concentrated there. And I don't know what's happened to my face. All this hair which has appeared, it's so embarrassing. And something else which I didn't notice at first, but which other people have pointed out to me, here, see, in between my shoulders, is this, well, I can only describe it as a hump. That really bothers me too.
All right, so what exactly is visible between her shoulders? So here the patient is saying, in between my shoulders, is this, well, I can only describe it as a hump. All right, so like a stooped back, that is what a hump is. So HUMP. So that is the answer to the third question. So this is a normal back. The spinal cord is actually quite erect over here. But in the case of a hump, the back is actually stooped. All right, so this stoop is actually visible between her shoulders. So without any spelling mistakes, you must write hump as the right answer into your answer paper. Now let's come to the fourth question. Swollen ankles, excessive and constant dash. So the ankles of the patient are swollen, and along with that, the patient is saying she is experiencing too much of something, that is excessive. Excessive means what? Too much. And constant. Constant means what? Continuous. So she is experiencing some symptom, and that symptom is continuously present and in too much quantity. So what symptom is present like that? That is what we have to find out. So let's hear the audio now.
Yes, I can see.
And look at my ankles, they're swollen too. Something else which has got really bad is that I'm also sweating so much, even in cold weather. No amount of antiperspirant seems to help.
All right. So what is the patient telling over here? The patient is telling, I am always sweating so much, even in cold weather. No amount of antiperspirant seems to help. So constant, always. So what is the patient doing? And that too in so much quantity, sweating. The patient is excessively sweating. Okay, even in cold weather also she is sweating. So the answer is sweating. Okay, again, SWEATING without any spelling mistake you have to write. If you want, you can write the synonyms as well. For sweating, we can either call it perspiration or we can also term it as diaphoresis. But it is preferable that if you write sweating, just like how they mentioned in the audio. All right, so that is the answer to the fourth question. Now let's take a look at the fifth question. Backache. So the patient's back is really hurting and the patient's periods are dash. All right, so something about her periods. That is what we have to find out. So let's see what the patient is telling about her periods.
That must be difficult. And any aches or pains?
Well, my back tends to ache a bit, but I take ibuprofen, which helps.
Good.
My periods used to be painful in the past, but to be honest, they're so infrequent now that the pain really isn't a problem anymore. I often feel tired though. In fact, like really tired.
And what?
Okay, so what is the patient telling about her periods? So she's saying my periods used to be painful in the past. So here R means what? Present. Periods are. So presently, how are her periods feeling to her? Alright, so here she is telling my periods used to be painful in the past. So we cannot write painful because that is not present tense. But now she is saying, to be honest, they are so infrequent now. Alright, so present tense now are infrequent. That means it is irregular. That the pain really isn't a problem anymore. So because it is so infrequent, she really does not bother experiencing pain whenever the periods come. Alright, so what's the answer going to be? The answer is going to be infrequent. That is, it is very irregular. That is quite less. So you have to write infrequent or so infrequent or infrequent. Now these are optional words, but this is the main answer that you have to mention down into your answer paper without any spelling mistakes. So that is the answer to the fifth question. Now let's take a look at the sixth question. Dermatological symptoms, that is how her skin symptoms are. Tendency to dash. Okay, so something is related to her skin and she has a tendency to, that is, it is quite easy. Okay, so it is easy for the patient's skin to dash. All right, that is what we have to find out. So to what happen is quite easy for the patient's skin. So let's hear the audio.
About your skin.
Oh, yeah. It seems to bruise at the slightest thing. And I've noticed that if I get a cut or a scratch or something, it takes ages to heal. And something else I've spotted on my thighs. See, here's these stretch marks.
Ah, yes.
They're quite noticeable because they're a real purple colour. My face has changed too. I used to have quite pale skin, but as you can see, it's quite red now. And it looks, well, puffy. I mean, it never used to look like that.
Okay, so what is the patient telling about her skin? Tendency. So we know what tendency means. What tendency means, like a temptation, like not temptation, but say like something that can very easily happen. All right, so what is the patient telling about her skin? When the doctor asks her about her skin, she's saying it seems to bruise at the slightest thing, that is even with a very tiny impact. Okay, with the tiniest impact, her skin cannot tolerate it. It seems to bruise. Bruise means what? Become wounded. So what is the answer going to be? The answer is going to be bruise. Tendency to bruise at the slightest thing. That is very easily, her skin is very sensitive. So with the very tiniest impact itself, it seems to bruise. Okay, so once again, without any spelling mistakes, make sure you're writing down the answer. So that is the answer to the sixth question. Now let's come to the seventh question. Wounds slow to heal, dash on thighs. Okay, so the wounds of the patient take a very long time to heal. And now dash on thighs. So this is the keyword. So something on the thighs of the patient. All right, so let's see what the answer is by listening to the audio.
Oh, yeah. It seems to bruise at the slightest thing. And I've noticed that if I get a cut or a scratch or something, it takes ages to heal. And something else I've spotted on my thighs. See, here's these stretch marks.
Ah, yes.
They're quite noticeable because they're a real purple colour. My face has changed too. I used to have quite pale skin, but as you can see, it's quite red now. And it looks, well, puffy. I mean, it never used to look like that.
Okay, so here, what was the question? Wounds slow to heal. That is, it takes a long time for the wounds of the patient to heal. And then dash on thighs. So something is present on her thighs. So with those keywords, when we hear the audio, what do we get? So here the patient is saying, and I've noticed that if I get a cut or a scratch or something, it takes ages to heal. That is, it takes a long time to heal. And something else I've spotted on my thighs. See, here is these stretch marks. So what is present on her thighs? Stretch marks are present. So you must write stretch marks on thighs. All right. Or else you can use striae. That is also a medical terminology which is quite accepted as well. But it is always safe to write stretch marks because that is the same word they mentioned in the audio. So the answer to the seventh question is also understood. Now let's come to the eighth question. Face appears red in color, dash area on neck. So first the patient is talking about her face and that is red in color. And now dash area on neck. So something on her neck. All right, so let's see what the patient is telling about her neck.
Okay, so there's been quite a change.
Oh, definitely. And if you look here on my neck, the skin's gone dark. Really odd. I don't know what's happening. And though I never really had it before, I've now got acne into the bone.
All right. So what is the patient telling over here? So the patient is telling, oh, definitely. And if you look here on my neck, the skin's gone dark. Okay. That means what? The skin on her neck has become dark in color. So dark area on the neck. So that is the answer. So there is a dark area or a darkened area on the neck. So that is the answer. Write just one of these two possible answers. No need to write them both. All right. So that is the answer to the 8th question. Now to the 9th question. Recent development of dash. So recently, that is what means like latestly. Okay, we can say something the patient has developed. All right. So let's see what the patient has developed very recently.
Okay, so there's been quite a change.
Oh, definitely. And if you look here on my neck, the skin's gone dark. Really odd. I don't know what's happening. And though I never really had it before, I've now got acne into the bone.
All right. So here, what is the patient telling? Here, the patient is saying, I don't know what is happening. And though I never really had it before, I have now got acne into the bargain. So see, now, present tense, recent, presently. All right. Now got acne into the bargain. That means on top of everything, she now has acne also. So the medical terminology is acne vulgaris. That is that disease condition. But since they mentioned only acne in the audio, you can write acne as the correct answer. All right. So that is the answer to the 9th question. Now let's come to the 10th question. Psychological symptoms. So mental symptoms, mildly depressed. The patient is a little bit depressed, a little bit sad, scared by new experience of dash. Okay, so now the patient is experiencing a new symptom. Okay, a new experience of something, and because of that she is very scared. She is really afraid of that new thing. Now let's see what the patient is telling.
It must all be distressing. I can appreciate that this is having an effect on you. Have you noticed your general mood changing at all?
Well, it's enough to get anyone down, really. And yes, I do feel a bit depressed. But the frightening thing is that I've started getting mood swings. I've never had them before. I mean, one minute I'm laughing and the next I'm crying, and I don't know why. It's quite alarming.
Yeah.
So, what's the question? Scared by new experience of. The patient is a little bit afraid because she is now experiencing a new symptom. So what is the statement over here? Yes, I do feel a little bit depressed, but the frightening thing, see, keywords, frightening, scared, is that I've started to getting mood swings. So the patient is now experiencing mood swings. So this is what frightens the patient. And she has never experienced mood swings before. So one minute she's laughing, the next minute she's crying. She does not have any control over her moods. And that is why she's a little bit frightened about it. She finds it very alarming. So what is the answer? The answer is going to be mood swings. All right. So you, without any spelling mistakes, you must write mood and swings as the correct answer into your answer paper. All right. So that is the answer to the 10th question. Now let's come to the 11th question. Feels constantly dash. So the patient is feeling something continuously. So 24/7, what is the patient feeling? So let's hear the audio now.
Anything else?
Oh, I confess I feel, well, irritable all the time. Everything seems to get on my nerves. And I can't seem to concentrate like I used to. You know, I find it hard sometimes to do stuff in my head, like working out a sum or remembering names and things. I just hope that you can find out what's wrong with me.
Well, I'm sure we will.
All right. So I confess I feel irritable all the time, constantly, all the time. And what is the patient feeling all the time? Irritable. That is, again, it is very relatable to her mood swings. That means she can get really frustrated and angry very easily. So irritable is the right answer. So that is what you have to write down in your answer paper. 12th question. Recommended test. Further blood test. Dash test possibly. So here the doctor is recommending some test. So the first is blood test. So the patient has to undergo blood test. And after that, the patient is going to get another test. But there is only a small chance. All right. If at all it is possible, she has to undergo that test as well. So the answer is going to be a medical test. So now let's hear the audio over here.
Now, I see you've already had some blood tests, but I'll need to do one or two more. You've had a urine test to look at your blood sugar, so I probably won't need to repeat that. We may do a saliva test, depending on the bloods.
Okay, I see. And how long will everything take? I mean, before we know what's causing the problems?
All right. So here the doctor is saying we may do a saliva test. So possibly, may, tiny chance. So what test? Saliva test. All right. So what is the answer going to be? Saliva test. You should not write saliva test because here test is already written. You must only write saliva. All right. So that is the answer to the 12th question. So now we have completed the discussion of the extract 1. So now it is time for your homework. So this is where obedience comes in. So get your question paper and make sure you're practicing the part A along with the audio. Check your answers with the answer key. If there are any mistakes, you come back to the class and you review this class. Make sure you're thoroughly grasping each and every question and its right answer. Create your own self-study notes from both the class as well as from your practice experience. These self-study notes are very much important. So that's it. So on behalf of our entire team, we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to you. Thank you very much. And please remember, you're not just students, you're cherished, valued, and deeply loved. As you move forward, carry our love with you. Wishing you all the very best. If you have any feedback, any doubts, or any inquiries, please inform us through our email. We love hearing from you. And that's about it. Thank you. Have a fantastic day.